Welcome to the Nest Podcast, your home for nerd entertainment and sports talk, where your hosts, Brandon and Zach, hash out what's happening in video games and sports every week. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Nest Podcast. This is episode 51, the Ichiro episode, presented by Sportzilla. I'm your host, Brandon, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Zach. Zach, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing over there?
We're doing. Just been trying to keep up with the crazy world that is sports right now. Seems like a lot has happened in the past week.
Quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah. Where do you even want to start? What's been going on in your world?
Well, Cardinals are on a bit of a tear, doing very well. Yeah. So I guess we could start there if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely on the positive note. The Red Sox have been mediocre as per the norm this year.
Yeah, we'll get into the debacle that they had a couple nights ago or last night.
Oh God, yeah. We'll definitely get into some of that shit.
Yeah. So last night, which would be Wednesday for people
Right.
listening.
Yeah, we're recording on Thursday this week. We've got I'm taking the family to the Jumbo Shrimp game again this week. So
See some jumbo shrimp hit some homers.
yeah, hopefully. We got a kid on the team, Jumbo Shrimp. His name's Stone Garrett. He's leading the shrimp in homers, and he's a very athletic outfielder. I've seen him make a few nice catches in the outfield in person. One that I didn't get to see in person ended up being a Sports Center top 10 number 1 play.
Oh wow.
I retweeted it, and it was him robbing a home run, and his entire waist was above the fence, and he was extended out over it and robbed it. Anyway, get back to your Cardinals.
Yep. So Wednesday against the Pirates, they had themselves a day. It was insane. They tied a major league record with 9 runs in a single inning.
Nice.
And yeah, they just went to town. And our all-star, Paul DeYoung, became the first everyday shortstop with a 3 home run game in club history.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat little factoid to put on there for him.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that, like, 5 years from now, you'll be watching a Cards game, and you'll see somebody else have a three home run game or whatever, and they'll flash back to, do you remember when Paul DeYoung hit 3 home runs against the Pirates on this date? And you'll be like, I do remember that.
Yeah, that's one of those stats that the announcers like to throw in there when not a whole lot is going on or something like that.
Right. It's just one of those arbitrary little things. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that, but
yeah. And yeah, they've been on a tear. They've won the last 4 series that they've been in. I don't know their win-loss in the last 10 games record, but it's got to be
good.
Yeah, it's got to be delicious. They're second place NL Central, and I believe the Cubs will play tonight, and whatever happens with them will determine whether or not we move up or stay where we are.
Well, let me stop you right there, Zach. I just looked it up. The Cubs do not play tonight.
Okay.
So, and that win puts St. Louis in a tie for first place as of now with the Cubs in the NL Central.
Nice.
And your win-loss in the past 10 is 8-2. So that's pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm. Brandon with the stats.
Oh, I mean, I pulled them up. It's courtesy of MLB.
Sure.
So,
but yeah, it's been a very good second half as of late. Paul Goldschmidt is back on the right track. He's been hitting. He did well today. The game was early, so I don't know a whole much about the game other than we won today. And man, I don't feel bad for the Pirates, but I do at the same time because they have just been getting torn up out there. Josh Bell is a great player. I think that's probably their only notable player. So
they have Chris Archer. He's a pitcher of theirs. He's pretty good. They have another kid, Jamie Tomlinson. I think is his name. He's also a pitcher. He's supposed to be really, really good. But yeah, you're right. Bell is their all-star. He's their stud and their best player since Andrew McCutcheon left.
Right. Yeah. So Cardinals are on the come up, which is pretty dope. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're a first place team again, so congrats to that. Hopefully you can keep some winning baseball in St. Louis because it's definitely not been winning in Boston. Um, but you mentioned that the Cardinals played early today. They played at 12:30 or 11:30 local time, but 12:30 Eastern.
Yep.
The reason for that and is this same reason that the Rays and Red Sox played at 12:30 at Tropicana the other day. It's so that they can get kids out to ball games, kids that are involved in summer programs or inner city youth programs or whatever. The stadiums give tickets to these programs to give to the kids to come to the game. And they make it earlier in the day so that they can see the game and then get to go home or back to their centers or whatever in time for their parents to pick them up.
Sure.
So it's a cool thing to try to get the kids out to a ball game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's awesome. Summertime, kids are, like you said, they're in like some sort of camp or whatever, and some kind of daycare thing or whatever it might be. Get them to a game. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know the stats for St. Louis's game, but I do know that in Tampa, they said that they gave out 15,000 tickets to kids.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So, and they gave them all thunder sticks. So it was really loud. And I listened to the broadcast on the radio because, like you, I was at work during that time.
Yeah.
But I listened to it and you could hear the thunder sticks clapping on the radio broadcast.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I'd say it's harder these days to get kids into baseball because of just the slowness of it. And it's a more mental game, and kids are used to just, I mean, as much interaction with, stuff that they can physically mess with than just sitting down and watching something these days. So
yeah, but it's also like their parents aren't exposing them to it.
Yeah, I guess so. It's probably it's a lot easier for a parent to shove an iPad in front of a kid's face instead of, hey, let's watch this baseball game.
Right. Yeah. Or just giving them a bat and a ball. Kids or for whatever reason, parents are afraid to put a bat in the hand of a small child for fear that they're going to hit something they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
You just teach them from a young age what they're allowed to hit. My son is almost 3.5 now. He's been swinging a baseball bat in our house since he was 16 or 17 months old. It started out with a little plastic one, but now he uses a metal T-ball bat, and he's never broken anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He hits a little foam baseball that I tossed to him, but he hits it on the fly, and then it just bounces off the walls or bounces off the window or whatever, and it's just a little foam ball, so it's not going to hurt anything.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
So,
that definitely has a lot to do with what kids are into, is what their parents expose them to and push them towards, or just at least show them, hey, this is a thing,
Yeah. You can do that with anything. Kids are very open to anything you want to show them and teach them. If you teach them football, they're going to learn football. If you teach them to be a little dickhead, they're going to be a little dickhead. It's all in what the parents are teaching the kids. But I think, to your point, that kids aren't getting into baseball as much is because their parents aren't into baseball as much.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Not many people our age are really into the sport of baseball.
Yeah, I would agree. Like we always say, most people get into baseball when October rolls around and the playoffs start.
Right. That's whenever the baseball fans, air quotes, come out and start watching the games, because those are the more exciting times. Let's be honest. October is the best month in all of sports.
Yeah, I would agree.
And yeah, it attracts a lot of eyes, and that's when people like it. But for us, we enjoy a Tuesday game in the middle of July. That's
For sure, especially if you get a win.
yeah,
Or
getting that win is good. It's like a pick me up to get you through the rest of the week. It's like, all right, hey, we won that one. Let's keep it going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I even like anytime I get an alert from ESPN or wherever else about like a potential no hitter, I'll turn it on just to see, just in case something actually happens.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like to do that too. You get to see some cool stuff, cool baseball moments in history. Back in the day, whenever you didn't have these crazy apps and things like that, as a baseball fan, you had to get lucky to see those moments of history. If you were watching a game at that time, they would switch to that broadcast if it was available.
yeah,
That's how I saw Barry Bonds hit his record-breaking home runs. That's how I saw Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa hit their home run chase. That's how I saw a lot of history. I saw Cal Ripken's Iron Man game
nice.
that way because I was watching another baseball game and they switched to that broadcast so that baseball fans could see that moment in history. Now you get an update on your phone and you can pull it up in 10 seconds. It's
Awesome.
so to that point, it should be a lot easier to get into baseball. I I don't understand, how it's not better on, like social media or something like that. Like the NFL and NBA dominate the social media game.
Yeah, I think from play to play, it's just a bit more exciting for the average fan. Like if you just were to watch a sport and not try to analyze it, because I think baseball takes a little bit of analytics to appreciate it.
That's probably true because
Like,
it is a numbers driven game.
yeah. But just from a watching standpoint, you can watch a game of football and be entertained by the action, the tackles and the catches and stuff like that.
Right. I guess even the non-plays can be more exciting than a non-play in baseball because a non-play in baseball is just really two guys playing catch.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a guy catching a ball that's falling from the air.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's one of those things where, in my opinion, an extravagant play or like a crazy play in baseball has so much more depth behind it because of just how hard it is to play the game, much less do something extraordinary. Like Ted Williams said, the hardest thing in sports is to hit a round ball with a round bat.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to throw in people's face. They're like, "Oh, baseball's an easy sport. You just hit a ball or throw a ball, catch a ball." It's like there's a lot more to it there, bud. But
yeah.
um, but you said something. God, I had something else I was gonna say, but I forgot now. Fuck. But anyway, you distracted me with Ted Williams, you bastard.
Well, now I know.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll get back to what I was gonna say before that. If it comes back to me, so be it. One of the things that sucked about the Red Sox playing so early, not just because I didn't get to watch it because I was at work, but that was the game that you alluded to earlier in the podcast, the whole debacle that happened between the Rays and the Red Sox. So that happened in the top of the eighth inning, there was a play that happened that caused a 25-minute delay in the game.
Yeah.
During that 25 minutes was the last little bit of window that those kids had before they had to leave, get on the buses and go back to wherever they came from.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't even get to see the end of the fucking game because of this issue.
That sucks.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't get to see the game. I've had to go back and rewatch the clips from it to try to piece together what I think happened. But the Rays had a pitcher that was pitching.
A lefty, I believe.
He was a left-handed pitcher. His name was Adam Kolarick, for anybody who cares. And he recorded an out. And then Mookie Betts was coming up to bat, a right-handed hitter. So they didn't want him facing their lefty. So they moved him to first base. A pitcher moved to first base, and they brought in a new pitcher named Rowe.
Mm-hmm.
Rowe came in, righty versus righty, pitched to Mookie Betts. Got that out. Rafael Devers was up next, a left-handed batter. So they wanted to get the righty out of there, bring back the lefty for a lefty-lefty matchup. Normally, once you're subbed out as a pitcher, you're done for the game. They subbed him to first and then brought him back into the game. So he just rotated positions, but he was in the game the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's bending the rules, but technically not illegal.
Yep.
Okay. The problem ensued with regard to the designated hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you do that, move a pitcher into a position player role and then try to move that pitcher back into the pitcher's role, you lose the designated hitter. You forfeit that right for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So therefore, Adam Kolarek should have been the number 3 hitter the following inning,
Mm-hmm.
according to Alex Cora and the Red Sox.
Right.
The umpire, Angel Hernandez, where have we heard that fucking name before? Angel Hernandez says, we're going to slide him in at 6th. So that made it to where the pitcher never had to bat the following inning.
Yeah.
So it was impactful in the game in that regard because, you know, the pitcher would have been an out instead of maybe a hit or whatever that transpired. And the Red Sox played the rest of that game under protest. Do you know what that means?
I don't have a clue.
Okay, that's another one of those crazy, intricate baseball rules that rarely gets tossed up. Playing under protest means that they played out the rest of the game however it was going to happen, blah, 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 blah. However, from that point on, the Red Sox can file a formal protest to the league, and the league goes back and reviews that play. And if it's deemed that it affected the outcome of the game or whatever, then they can actually restart the game at that point in time or reverse any decisions.
Oh, wow.
So that's only happened like 3 times in modern baseball history. The most notable one happened, ironically, on the exact same date as this game, but several years before with Kansas City Royals. George Brett. He pine tar bat home run incident is what it's referred to as.
Nice.
Basically, he hit a home run. They said he cheated. Then they said he didn't cheat. Then they said he cheated. Then eventually it got overturned. He got awarded the home run for a few days, and then it got overturned, and they had to restart the game later.
That's
great. It was and they ruled it an out instead of a home run. Fucking crazy rules, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny.
Maybe that's why so many people don't get into baseball. It can get crazy.
Yeah, it can. It can get weird. There's strange rules like that, especially when a DH is involved. So I'm assuming that if there is fault, would be on Angel Hernandez for not just automatically saying no, he cannot move to 6th. He is in 3rd. He's in the 3rd spot, and you can't use that, right?
I guess Hernandez is quoting some other baseball rule that says that if the manager doesn't specify where he wants a player to go, then the umpire chooses where he goes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know that rule. I've never heard of it. I honestly haven't heard of many of these rules.
Right.
Like I had to brush up on what a lot of this stuff meant so that I could actually talk about it.
Sure.
So these are obscure things that don't come up that often, but when they do, it's like, oh shit. All right, well, let's see what this is all about, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. I would imagine if you were to sub a pitcher for a first baseman, he would just take that first baseman spot in the lineup.
which would have been third in this
Yeah.
case.
I don't understand where the confusion would be. Like, you can't just change that. I get that you can sub your pitcher in and out because you want to keep him or whatever. But yeah, once you do that, then he's in that spot.
Yeah. And that's what Alex Cora and the Boston Red Sox said. And that's why they were like, no, fuck this. We're playing this under protest.
Yeah. Smart move, I say.
So it won't affect anything. Nothing will come of it, but we played it under protest. So
yeah. Well, and I think that's one of a manager's jobs is to, if something's screwy like that, at least give your guys a chance and make sure everything is going as right as it could be, and not let some BS like that change the outcome of a game. Because, at the end of September, this loss may or may not have a big impact on the Red Sox standings. So you got to try to win all of them.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially right now, they're like, 10 games out of first place.
Yeah.
If the Red Sox start a stretch, what is it, tonight or tomorrow? It might be tomorrow that they play the Yankees. No, it's tonight. Tonight at 7. Fuck yeah. I'll be watching Red Sox Yankees tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. So all weekend long, I get good baseball, hopefully. And it's crucial. This is almost like October baseball in July because it's must win.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose to the Yankees at this point in the season and they go up even further in the double digits on you, not only are they burying you in the division standings, they're burying you in the wild card standings as well.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And that's terrible. You can't have that. But I'm sure Yankee fans would love it and would fucking gloat all about it because they're about that. But to me, I'm glad that the Red Sox beat the Yankees in the playoffs last year. To me, it's cheaper if you don't beat your biggest rival.
Yeah, I agree.
Like 07, 13, we didn't play the Yankees in the playoffs. Not as exciting. It was more exciting in 18 just to beat them.
Yeah, it's almost like a free pass if you don't have to play a big rival in your division.
I mean, even though the Astros are nothing to sneeze at,
Right, sure.
the A's for years were nothing to sneeze at. The Blue Jays, good teams, but it just didn't feel like it was real.
Yeah.
And I love when that rivalry means something.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, obviously Yankees and Red Sox is one of the hugest rivalries in baseball. I'd say the best by far in baseball.
Yeah. And speaking of Red Sox Yankees, I remember what I was going to say earlier. You were talking about when they make spectacular plays, it means more. Recently, the Yankees ended the game on a walk-off catch. And Aaron Hicks, their center fielder, was drifting back quite a ways and made a full layout diving catch to rob a bases loaded gapper.
Oof.
That would have been a walk-off.
Yeah.
So pretty clutch catch.
Yeah.
And, Harvey has gone on record saying that he thinks it's the best catch by a center fielder in Yankees history.
Wow.
I think that's pretty fucking lofty, but, at Harvey Birdman on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I would say throughout the Yankees' entire history, there's got to be something better than that. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, I would think the Mickey Mantle over the shoulder.
Sure.
But whatevs. Yeah, man, that's Red Sox. They've been mediocre. They need to fucking get in gear. They've got 11 more games right now between the Yankees and the Rays coming up, and took 2 out of 3 from the Rays, which was pretty clutch. Got briefly up into second place in the AL East, now currently in third again, but also moved up a little bit and made themselves a little more competitive in the wild card. So little improvements over good teams. That's the games that we need to win, and then we need to move on from this tough stretch and just start slaughtering the teams
Yeah.
that we should be beating.
Yeah, hammer it home. I remember when the season started, we were both saying that the NL is going to be a very interesting point of contention, I guess, in
Oh
baseball.
yeah, it
But
has not disappointed.
it hasn't. But I think down this last stretch of the season, I think the American League it has something crazy going on because you've got the Yankees, the Indians are pretty good. They're keeping up. The Twins, the Astros. I mean,
The Twins are the holy shit team out of that bunch.
yeah,
You know, we kind of expected going in that it would be Red Sox, Yankees in the AL East, and then the Rays would trail, was kind of what we thought going into the season. And then we had Cleveland and we had Houston. We didn't really give Minnesota a fucking chance.
yeah, they came
They
out somewhere.
Yeah, they are the surprise team in the AL for
Yeah.
sure.
But I mean that whole there's 4 teams where you can't say one or the other is gonna take it all, for anything right now because it's crazy. I think it's kind of crazy that those big teams have such crazy success that they've had, because I thought immediately when the Indians lost Kluber and Carrasco that they were just basically done for.
I did too.
And Trevor
I thought when Kluber
great.
went down, they were done.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer hasn't been great, but he's probably been good enough. And apparently this kid, Shane Bieber, has been pretty great as well. So that's a big surprise for me. And of course, Twins are a huge surprise.
Yeah, Bieber just the other night took a no into the 7th, I think.
Yeah.
So damn. Surprise teams in the AL Central. Pretty standard what we thought in the AL West, and the only real shocker in the AL East is that Boston's been so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can pin it on the pitching. That's where it's all been, because the bats, they've got some of the records, the top guys in hitting.
Yeah.
I talked about them last week, how Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers are kind of moving up to be my favorite left side of the infield, just no bias off the table. Right now, I still have it slightly being Story and Arenado for the Rockies, but I just love the way that they fucking work together. But right now, Xander and Rafi are basically the best duo in baseball statistically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that no one saw coming. Maybe, hardcore Red Sox people that
No, not even that. Everybody, if somebody would have told me that Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts were both going to be having MVP caliber seasons, I would have said, "Oh, dude, we're winning 150 games."
Yeah.
Because we also have Mookie and JD that are going to have MVP type seasons, and then we're going to have Benny, who's going to play a Gold Glove, left field for us.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. This is pretty wild.
They're the only two that are doing shit.
Right. Yeah. The whole Mookie Betts thing has really just taken me for a fool because I put him above fucking Mike Trout, which was a bit of a stretch. But I mean, considering what he had last year, him and JD Martinez just tore it up last year. So it's been a wild change to see these two relatively unknown players just take off. And like you said, it sucks that the pitching can't keep their work in play, because if you suck at pitching, your hitting is just gonna do not much for you because the other team's gonna hit.
Yep.
Ball.
Yep, that's true. I mean, there have been several games this season alone where the Red Sox have scored double digits and lost the fucking game. Yep. And then they have the games that are even more infuriating, like when Chris Sale goes out there and has 17 fucking strikeouts and loses the fucking game 1-0.
Yeah, that's just so depressing.
Or 2-1 and stuff like that. It's like, You scored fucking 11 runs, 12 runs against the Yankees in London and fucking lost.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't fucking score 5 runs in this mediocre Wednesday ball game for Chris Sale, who's going out there and fucking busting his ass for you.
2 would have done it.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
It really is. But and that's the difference between this season and last season. Last season they won those games.
Right. Yeah, it's very confusing as to try and explain why certain things don't happen in baseball, because you have all the pieces and it just doesn't come together. And speaking of that, we mentioned the Rockies very shortly. The NL West to me is very confusing. I get that the Dodgers are dominant, but
Yep.
the Rockies are in last place.
Yeah, that's a huge shocker to me too. I think that's why they are looking at being sellers. They bit off more than they can chew, it seems like, with the contracts of Chuck Nasty, Charlie Blackmon, and Nolan Arenado. And they forgot to pay other people.
Yeah.
Forgot to be able to fill other positions. And they have struggled. Their stars have been stars.
If I had to go out on a limb, I would assume that they have some pitching problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than Herman Martinez or Herman Martez, I don't really they have John Gray on that team too. He's not bad, but other than those two, I don't really know any of their pitchers.
Yep. Whenever I know 3 or 4 position players and I don't know any pitchers on a team, I pretty much immediately think, yeah, they probably don't pitch very well.
Yeah.
If you've got these good position players and they're getting paid, you got to make cuts somewhere.
Yep, that's true. That's very true. That's a good way to just look at a team on the surface and be like, they're probably good. They're probably not so good.
Right.
Because, I mean, you think the Astros, you think Verlander, Cole,
yep,
Altuve, Bregman.
Yep. Yeah, they've got it all. Same with the Dodgers. You can think of people on both sides of it. Of course, Bellinger, Kershaw, Walker Buehler. So
Bueller.
The Dodgers, man, it's insane. 67 wins. They're going to walk away with the National League title, I think. Just walk away with it.
Yeah, the Dodgers kind of play like an American League team in the National League.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the 67 wins, I was like, well, that's not that much. The Astros and the Yankees both are at 66. But the Dodgers, record-wise, are the best team in baseball.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
And the pitchers have to hit.
they might make it to 3 straight World Series and lose them all. Did I say that? I mean,
nothing we can do about that.
That's the downfall, is when they have to play an American League team. It's just like everybody thinks a Chrysler 300 looks like a Chrysler 300 until a Chrysler 300 rolls up. And it's like, no, not the real thing.
Yeah. That's funny. What else is going on out there?
Well, there's some football news. Did you hear about Zeke? His shit? He's being another little prima donna.
Not that I know of. I do know Melvin Gordon has taken a page from the Le'Veon Bell book and is threatening to sit out training camp.
Yep, that's another one. Zeke is saying that he doesn't want to go to training camp because he's wants a contract extension. He's still under fucking contract.
Yeah.
He's dumb.
Yeah, these guys are trying to get locked up so they can get as much money as they can.
Right, because they know, hey, running back's a position that deteriorates quickly.
Yep.
Get paid while you can, and I understand that. But the NFL made it what it is.
Sure.
You know? You don't have running backs that stick around for a long time like they used to. Look at Marshawn Lynch. He was great for 2 years, and then he was out of the fucking league.
Yeah. LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean,
yeah,
he was supposed to be this phenom, and he was for the most part, but he couldn't stick around. Like he had probably one of the shortest careers ever.
And that was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was for sure.
He would have been he would have been great if he and Phillip Rivers would have had a few good seasons together, and with Gates out there, they would have been fucking nasty for a long time.
Yeah, that would have been insane. But it's a rough position.
It is. It is. I mean, they take abuse nearly every play, but I don't think this sitting out and all this bullshit is going to pay off. Le'Veon Bell set out and they said, "Hey, James Conner, step right on up," and he did great. The San Diego Chargers have already, or I'm sorry, the Los Angeles Chargers have already said, "Hey, we're prepared to have the next guy up step up and play."
Yeah, yeah,
and whatever.
I think the league is just going to further eliminate the running back position. They're already pass heavy. We're already quarterback heavy. You really have to have a good quarterback to be a good team in this league. So if star running backs keep doing this shit, then they're just going to not really have star running backs anymore because they barely need them as it is. You know what I mean? If you have a great quarterback and wide receivers that can catch and a good offensive line, you're going to win games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty true. I mean, you got to look at Kansas City as a prime example of something like that. Yeah, Hunt was great, but after he left, they didn't miss a fucking beat.
Yep. Same with Jamal Charles. When he left, they were okay. They had Kareem Hunt, but
it makes you wonder if a lot of Kareem Hunt's success was because everyone just respected that passing offense so much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder how he'll do in Cleveland once he comes back from his 8-game suspension and all that shit. And wonder how that's going to work out for him.
I tell you, if he's listening, he better fucking work out and he better be ready to play because
and we know he is a listener.
Yeah, everyone is because we say shit and shit miraculously changes the next day.
It happens. Yeah, it's fucking crazy how many times that's happened on this show.
Yeah, because I think the Browns went out on a limb in the first place to grab him because that's a risky move because the league could have just suspended him for a whole year. They could have done whatever they wanted to, really.
And then you're still on the hook to pay the man.
Yep. So he better perform or else he won't be around long either because they have what's his name? Chubb.
Yep. Nick Chubb from Georgia, which
again,
he's kind of in the same mold as like a Gurley. Both Georgia running backs, both injury prone.
Right.
So I think Chubb's career is going to be defined by the fact that he never really got to take off.
Yeah. Yeah. You see it a lot. So
fucking, we were talking about all these running backs that want money. Defensive players are just as greedy these days. Jalen Ramsey for the Jags backed a fucking Brinks truck up to the OTAs and had an announcer. It was like a goddamn circus show or something going on. But that's how he made his dramatic entrance into camp, saying, "Hey, I'm backing up the Brinks truck. Pay me, bitch."
That dude is something else.
Oh, he's wild. It's kind of gangster that he did it like that, but at the same time, it's like, dude, Tom Coughlin is pissed.
Yeah. Did you see homeboy, the safety that just got paid?
I did see that. I can't remember who it was though.
Give me a second here.
All right. Yeah, but I kind of, we were asking Justin if he wanted to come on tonight, and I told you that I was going to say something cool and nice about Julio, kind of trying to entice him to come on and talk to us a little bit. I'll say it anyway. Fuck it. Talking about all these guys that are holding out for OTAs. They want contract extensions out the wazoo. Julio Jones showed up to training camp ready to go on a handshake and a promise that they would work out a deal.
That's respectable.
He said, all right, good to go. I'll be there. I hope they don't fuck that man over.
Yeah, that's a very respectable thing to do, especially
this day, you know?
Yep. When everyone's getting contracts and everyone wants as much money as possible. That's pretty cool to do.
Yep, I agree. I like that move. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Julio Jones off of my shit list.
Yeah. He's back on your good side, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he needs to catch more touchdowns. So if I take him in fantasy this year, he's got to sign a contract that says he's going to catch 1 billion yards and 1 billion touchdowns.
There you go. That'll work.
You know, Scientology members have to sign a 1 billion-year contract.
Right. So the safety I was talking about is Titans safety Kevin Baird. I guess that's how you say it.
That's right.
ARD. Highest paid safety in NFL history. 5 years, $70 million.
How much of that is guaranteed? Does it say? Because that's the big thing in football contracts you have to pay attention to is the guaranteed
31 mil.
So almost half guaranteed. That's pretty fucking good. So I mean that only comes into play if he gets hurt or something like that, and they end up just cutting him. They have to pay him. They have to pay him $31 million regardless of what happens.
That's crazy. I think that's a insane position to pay that much money. Unless you're talking about like a Deion Sanders or something like that. Drop that much cash on somebody who's going to play cover 2.
I wonder.
And coverage.
I wonder how much some of these guys, some of these legends that we grew up watching, how much they would make in today's game.
That's crazy.
You know, Randy Moss is famous for saying that he was getting straight cash, homie, when he became the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history.
Yeah.
I bet if you look it up right now, he's barely in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, like, and he was like straight cash, homie. And at the time, that was a
20 million
huge deal. Yeah, it was a huge deal. I don't even remember what it was because it's so insignificant now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so crazy.
And, you know, you think about that, and that's why all these college kids are going to these big ass schools and shit like that to try to get to that level so that they can get these big paydays.
Yeah, for sure.
I still think colleges should be able to pay these athletes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's just a stupid thing that the NCAA is at fault for. Did you see Zion's deal with Jordan?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Something like 8 years for 70 million or something crazy like that.
It's insane that he's going to get paid millions and millions of dollars to wear something that he has to wear for his job.
Yep.
Imagine getting paid $20,000 a year to wear someone's specific work shoe for your specific job.
Yep. And you probably he's probably going to do some commercials and do some events and whatever. Fucking sign me up.
Sure. And I mean, yeah, that's only the start of it. Yeah, like you said, he's got all kinds of stuff too. You know, he'll come out with his own Zion Jordan shoes and stuff like that. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll get his own logo.
I don't know. I can't think of any other basketball players that are on Jordan because LeBron is just Nike.
Right.
Kobe was just Nike. So I don't know. There's got to be some, but I just can't think of any.
Yeah. We'll see.
I thought Jordan's thing was that they're Jordan shoes, you know?
Right.
They're not someone else's personal shoe.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it started. It was Michael Jordan's shoe by Nike.
Yeah.
And then over time, it just evolved into the Jumpman was its own thing. And I guess MJ bought out his rights from Nike or whatever. I don't know how it all transpired,
I
but
think they're somehow affiliated
still partners. Yeah.
but I don't know.
Because I think they're Nike shoes that they're all put on.
Pretty sure. Yeah. You want to talk about an empire?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Jordan's shoes. And
Dude.
I think that's something that only a basketball player could do.
Oh, market the shoes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't see kids like rushing out to buy the Cristiano Ronaldo soccer cleat.
Yeah, Cam Newton has his own cleat with Under Armour. Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck.
They're,
I mean,
I'm sure you've seen them, the high top
yeah.
cleats. Yeah.
And I'm sure you have, high school quarterbacks that go and buy that because Cam Newton's their favorite player or whatever in North Carolina, South Carolina area. You don't have fucking people that grew up in Denver going out and buying that shoe that much, I would say.
I would agree. And the thing about basketball shoes is those can just be your shoes. Cleats, you're not going to wear those anywhere but on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, you can stunt in your Jordans. So that just is marketing 101 right there.
But you got to make sure you put the plastic piece in the end so you don't get the creases.
Yep, you can't crease them.
Don't crease them bitches. Were you ever a sneakerhead?
I like shoes. I wouldn't say sneakerhead, and I'm definitely more of like a skate shoe guy. I never had Jordans or anything like that.
I've had a few pair of Jordans in my day.
Nice. I do like shoes.
Cool.
Yep.
Can't crease them.
No, I know. I had some high top Nikes years and years ago that were dope, but
I can see you rocking the Air Force Ones.
Oh, that's funny.
I think Harvey said that he got the Zion New Orleans jersey that's the Mardi Gras colors, and that they're a pair of Air Force Ones that are the same colors.
Oh wow!
And he wants to get that to have a whole
bit.
Yeah, a whole Nike everything. But now he might have to get the Jordans in Mardi Gras colors.
Yep.
To represent Zion.
Yep. Crazy. It's crazy that kid has built a brand so early.
Yeah, no, he absolutely has though. I mean, he's changed the face of the Pelicans organization.
Yeah.
And hasn't even played a minute of actual NBA time.
Yeah. For everyone that thought that Anthony Davis was their answer to whatever, if this guy isn't, I don't know what is.
Yeah. I mean, there hasn't been a player that has had this much hype since LeBron James.
Yes, correct.
And we've had some really good players come through the years.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry, what he did at Davidson was remarkable. He didn't have this hype.
No, not at all.
Leonard didn't have this kind of hype. KD had some buzz, but not this much.
Right. Yeah, it's insane.
So
I think it's just the way that Zion plays. You know, when you think star basketball player, you think ferocious dunks, at least from the casual fan's perspective. And fucking A, does he do that?
Yeah, for sure.
He makes the highlight reels, which helps, I think.
He sure does. But he didn't get paid a dime to do any of that in college.
They're making up for it now.
Yeah, no shit. It's crazy though, because colleges have so much fucking money. I was reading that both LSU and Florida, and I'm sure several others, these were just the only two that I read about and saw about. LSU did something like $25 million worth of upgrades and renovations to their football locker room. Every locker has the same type of seat as a first class cross country flight that can lay back into a full bed.
Jesus.
So every locker has that. Every locker has cell phone and iPad chargers and holders so that the player can be in maximum comfort while reviewing game footage. That this was like the quotes and stuff. I was like, what the fuck?
Nuts.
They amazing stuff. The Gators, their most egregious thing was that they had a trophy case that was every single pair of Jordans, 1 through whatever, in Gator colors.
Yeah, that's like just you've got so much money, you're just buying stupid shit because you want to.
Right. That's we rich, we know we rich, we balling out.
Yeah, that's insane.
But they can't pay their players.
Nope. Yeah, that's fucking nuts. It's probably one of the hugest like just ripoffs in sports is that you can't pay a college athlete.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
can pay his fucking coach $8 and $10 million bucks. So
Fucking
weird.
nuts.
And we've come up with all kinds of crazy schemes for them to get paid, but I don't know. I don't know if anything will ever change because I think the NCAA has a sweet thing going, and they probably don't want to change it, especially if they're going to lose money.
Right. Yeah. Why would they be quick to enforce a new rule that means they make less?
Yep.
They're not going to do that. They're trying to protect these kids. Yeah, whatever. Protect your own fucking pockets.
Yeah, it's so strange.
Yeah, man. I think that's about all we. Oh no. One last thing that I wanted to touch up on for sure was the tragic news in the boxing world recently.
Yes.
Wow. Maxim Dadashev and Hugo Santillan, I believe that's how he pronounces his last name.
Close enough.
I'm not very good at the pronunciations, but they have both in the past week passed away from a direct result of a fight that they were in days before, both with head injuries. One was a 28-year-old undefeated. The fight that ended his life was his first and only loss of his career. And the other guy was a 23-year-old, fought to a draw in the fight and collapsed when they were announcing the end of the fight.
That's right.
23
years old.
23 years old. He's barely started to live his life.
Mm-hmm.
Was already, up in the professional ranks. Does the weight cut have anything to do with that? Does the
Most definitely.
repeated blows to the head?
Most definitely.
I asked Justin, and I know Justin from Into the Woods hooked us up with some great audio from two legit boxers that he knows there in Johnson City. One I know for a fact is a professional boxer, Roy King. I'm not sure about the other guy. I think he's a coach, is what Justin said, but we'll get to that in just a second. But I know we were talking with Justin in that thread, and I said, is MMA safer? Is this the definitive proof that MMA is safer? I know people have died in MMA, but it's less frequent.
Yeah.
And it seems like the long-lasting effects of MMA aren't as serious as they are with boxing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of old boxers, they'll be on HBO Friday Night Fights or whatever, and they'll be punch drunk still. They'll be slurring their words and not able to really coherently speak on a microphone or whatever. And it's a direct result of years of being punched in the face, punched in the head. And, I made the point that in boxing, if you get knocked down and get kind of a flash knockout, you've got 10 seconds to recover and get back up and get fucking punched again.
Mm-hmm.
In MMA, if you get a flash knockout like that and the referee's going to step in and, separate you. Case in point, Ben Askren, when he got his head kneed off by Masvidal and took 2 more shots that were necessary, according to Masvidal.
Mm-hmm.
The ref stopped it.
Yep.
Askren woke up probably with a headache, but the next day he was fucking fine. He was tweeting later that night like, well, that sucked. Time to get back to the gym and get back to work, Yeah. He didn't fucking die.
All right. Imagine if Ben Askren would have got up from a 10 count after that and then further received more hits to the head.
Yeah, that's what boxers go through. And, unfortunately, these 2 young men had to learn that the tough way, the hard way. But I have not heard the audio from these 2 guys, and I appreciate them calling in and getting this, and Justin for hooking it up. So without further ado, go ahead and hit that play button, Zach.
Sure. I haven't heard any of it either. This first clip is from Roy, who is the boxer. So here we go.
Hey, Brandon, Zach, I got Roy here to talk about, I know I can't pronounce his name, Dashadev, but Roy King Jr., one of the best fighters here in the state of Tennessee. I'm going to let him give you his opinion on what happened and what could be different.
To me, basically, fight is going to be great. Sometimes this is an issue that can't be prevented. I don't know if it was his conditioning or his way he cut weight or anything, but it got me baffled for words right now to hear another fighter passed away in the ring or because of the ring. And I really don't have that many words to say, but this is one of the reasons why I always, and we should as fighters and promoters, managers, and consultants, we should have a union for these boxers, because how his family is going to take care of him without him. He just had a kid. Kid's going to miss him. So my condolences out to this fighter right here. And it's another fighter that's also passed away this morning. So it's me being a fighter also. It makes my family nervous, scared. So I had to talk even with my moms, and she was hearing the conversation of me and my manager talking about it. And she was like, y'all got me nervous. So I'm just nothing a person can really do about this issue, but be more aware of the way you cut weight and stuff like that. That's how I really think. That might have been one of his issues, might have been cutting weight too late. So you ain't a certain percentage of fat on you, and you're not doing it the wrong way. But other than that, that's all I really have to say about the issue. And once again, condolences to his family. And God bless.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, Roy. Guys, that's coming straight from a fighter. I'm going to have Brad call in when he comes in at 5:30 real quick, and we'll get the actual coach side of it and what, people talk about. They could have maybe stopped it earlier, or, what was going through the corner's mind or the ref's mind. The guy was fighting back, so there's nothing, you can't really tell what's going inside someone's head. But I'll call back around 5:30 with the other side for you.
Yeah. So that's Roy. And I agree. There's got to be something wrong with his weight cut. I would assume a bad weight cut plus whatever damage he took during training equals severe head trauma to a already depleted body to go into a fight and receive more damage. It's not good.
Yeah, and you can tell that, even though Roy doesn't know this fighter personally or doesn't either fighter personally, it still affects him in his life because of his profession and his passion in life. It affects his family too. So this is a ripple effect that, I'm sure it impacts fighters around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not boxers. We don't get in the ring and sacrifice our bodies for a paycheck. And what really hit me about what Roy said was that the unionization, if they were able to unionize, that would be another way that these fighters would be protected in case shit like this happens.
Yeah.
I guess hearing that, it makes me think that maybe they're independent contractors.
Most likely. Yeah. Especially in like an amateur or lower pro class, if you will. I can't imagine that they have any sort of thing like that. I'm sure they just get cut a check from their winnings or their losses or whatever their contract says, and that's it. They don't get health insurance or nothing. So,
right. All right, let's hear from Coach Brad.
That's crazy. Hey guys, it's Justin again. I've got Coach Brad here, the man whose shoulders Trent was on when he won that belt. Brad's got over 200 amateur fights, over 60 pro fights, 40 pro fights. So the man's fought from here to Vegas to everywhere. Now he's a coach. So I'm going to let y'all get the coach's side of the situation, how he feels about the death.
Of course, we all as fighters, we're a community, a boxing community. We all feel for him and feel for his family. We hope his family is blessed. We pray his family can move on from the loss of him, because I'm sure he fought to provide for the family. And I'm sure that he's followed him as well. But that's the life we live as fighters. It's really like I tell the fighters here, it's the boxing gym, the kids, boxing is not a game. And I have mentioned it to them. If you don't really take it seriously, you can die from this. And like I said once again, it's not a game. You have to. It's life. Boxing teaches us life courses as in life. We have the same courses as life we do with boxing. It's something you really have to dedicate yourself with, which I'm pretty sure I can't really pronounce his name. Devashin, Deshadai. I'm sure he worked his butt off, and that's just part of the game, though. It's a brutal sport, but it's still we use it to provide for our families and to make something of ourselves. It's sad, and I'm sorry like I said, I'm sorry for his family and his little kid he just had. But that's just the life we live as fighters. Matter of fact, I fought, but his trainer's son, James McGirt, and he's a heck of a guy. And that being on his shoulders, me as a trainer, I'm sure he's hurt. And I don't know if he'll probably ever coach train another fighter. Because it's devastating. And then again, I don't want to sound contradictory. He understands it's part of the game. He's had over a couple fights. He's fought 100 fights as an amateur, and he's a world champion over. But yeah, I'm sorry that this happened to him, but that's just part of the game we have. Part of the fight game.
Appreciate it, Brad. See, guys, as you can tell, I had no idea what they was going to say. Both of them immediately started talking about it being a family and how they felt sorry for the kids, the wife, and it's pretty cool. Boxing's kind of a community, man. It's not as flashy.
That's crazy.
It cut out right there. So that was it.
It probably exceeded the time limit or whatever.
Yeah.
For our little Google Voice app.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks again to Roy and Coach Brad, and thanks again to Justin for hooking that up for us. That's a awesome little perspective, and yeah, Justin hit the nail on the head of what I noticed was the family was a reoccurring theme. Not only the family of the community of boxers, but the impact on the fighters' lives, and it does make me think that the union is a better idea or a good idea for these boxers to explore. And with social media, that's the perfect way for them to all get connected.
Yeah. For sure. And I think because there's so many different organizations, and even in the top level, there's so many different organizations in boxing, that if the fighters themselves can somehow band together, because it's not like the UFC, where the UFC is the cream of the crop, and then there's other little small outlier organizations. The boxing has shit tons of different organizations. But if the fighters themselves can band together and say, we want this, this, and that, and protect ourselves in case something happens, then yeah, they definitely should get that going, which I think is going to be a huge endeavor. And I don't think there probably isn't a good amount of money in the lower pro leagues or whatever they're called to get people on board with that. But you just got to make a stand. I'm the one that's fighting. I'm the one that's out here taking the damage, and who's going to have to deal with it while you make the money off of me. So,
right. Yeah. It's a shitty situation all around. And it sucks that these guys, aren't taken care of, like, in that regard, and that's something that you don't really think about when you watch a sport.
right.
I bet the UFC's the same way. I bet those guys are kind of on their own for a lot of their health care and stuff like that.
Yeah. Especially the lesser known people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and people will say like, "Oh, well, they get paid so much." Lower ranking fighters, even on UFC cards, maybe they're getting $8,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, that's a fucking lot." Not when that's your fucking job.
And you only do it every 3 months.
Yeah, if you're lucky, you get 4 fights a year. If you're only getting $10,000, $12,000 a fight, that's barely a $40,000 a year job. That's not a lot. That's not a luxurious life. Not everyone's like Conor McGregor.
No. The MMA in particular is a lot like baseball, in where only a handful of people are making a shitload of money, and the rest of them are they're compensated. And obviously in baseball, the lower guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in comparison to the top level, it's chump change, and that's
Right.
the same as UFC. Conor McGregor makes all this money. John makes a whole bunch of money. DC makes a whole bunch of money, but the guys that are on the prelims don't make anything.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Speaking of DC, that fight's coming up soon. DC Stipe too.
It is. Speaking of DC, before we talk to him, we've got a voicemail from a listener.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, guys. I just wanted y'all's opinion on why DC was the greatest fighter the UFC has ever seen and will ever see. Thanks.
Chris. Fucking.
If you couldn't tell, that's our buddy Chris from Locker Room Talk, and they're real big DC fans over there.
So why we think DC is the greatest? Well, it's got to be because he is the only man to fight John Jones twice, but only have one loss on his record.
Yeah.
That's what makes him the greatest.
Yeah.
He cried and argued his way out of a loss.
Gustafson couldn't do it. He lost twice to Jones, and those losses are on his record.
Yep, that's it. So there you go. That's why DC is the greatest. But on a serious note about John, he's got some more allegations coming out against him.
Yeah.
It is getting harder and harder to be a fan.
Man, he really puts you in a corner, doesn't he?
I mean, I feel like he's getting more and more like Conor McGregor. Like, I liked him. I really like Conor. I really like John. And then the more I just learned about their true personalities, it's like, maybe I don't like them.
Yeah, I like John Bones. I like the fighter that is John. But
I like John Jones within the confines of the octagon.
Mm-hmm.
Once he leaves that cage, he is a piece of shit person.
I don't care who you are. For someone to hit a pregnant lady, and I know he didn't know she was pregnant, but to hit someone with your car and just to take off because you don't want to get caught, that's fucked up.
And then come back and get your drugs and then take off again.
Fucking Christ. Let alone all the picogram pulsing bullshit. That's just, in my opinion, that's just something that has occurred because of USADA. Because if you want to say that he's on steroids and this and that and the other, well, you better go look at all of the stars of the UFC pre-USADA. So I'm just seeing all of the shit that he's done that we know is bad.
But those two things right there, the two, egregious acts against John Jones, the picogram pulsing thing and his just conduct, that creates two different types of fans and two different types of conversations that people have about why they don't like John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
If people are saying, I don't like him because he is this shitty person, then I understand that. And I'm like, okay, you don't like him because of him outside of the cage, but you probably acknowledge that he's a badass in the cage. And then you've got the people that, like Chris and Wallow, that are on the side of the picograms, where they don't think that it's true and honest competition.
Right.
And I can see that side too, but they still acknowledge that they put that L in DC.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least they better, because that L is on his record.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because without all of his extra shit, I think John Jones could be a just absolute mega star. But those little check marks that he has, those asterisks that he has, are going to be his downfall, because he's not young. He's definitely not as young as he was, obviously, and he's got a limited amount of time that he can perform in the cage. And when he started to become active, it was great. And then all this picogram shit happened. And then that throws another wrench in it, and you got to somehow justify that. And now outside of the octagon shit is coming back up. So
yeah, it sucks that his career is going to be defined in segments and in stints between controversies.
Yeah.
Because if this comes out to be a true sexual assault case, oh fuck.
Yeah.
He's got to probably serve jail time or suspension or some shit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Fuck it.
Yeah, it sucks. I messaged our little group with the locker room talk guys that someone just needs to babysit that man, because he just is incapable of making the right decisions. And he's got 4 daughters. Like, you would think at some point, oh man, maybe I should be a good example for my kids, Yep.
It makes it hard to be a John Jones fan.
Yep. He's one of the best ever to do it in the cage. And that's where it stops.
Yep. That's where I draw the line with him too. And I hate to be that way. I hate to just say like, oh, well, he's just a shit person. But if the shoe fits, man.
Yeah. The proof is in the pudding here.
It sure is. So I'm sure Chris, thank you for calling in. I'm sure you guys will get a kick out of that little response, but that went down a hole that I didn't intend to take it down.
Yep. But we appreciate it. I don't give a shit what topic you want to bring up. Let us know. Give us a shout. And if it's worthwhile, we will play it.
Yep. And next week we've got the 1-year anniversary show.
Dun dun dun.
We'll finally be there. So next week we're probably going to do a lot of just bullshitting, and we'll have to figure out a way to draw the numbers randomly from our Sportszilla contest. We've got a ton of shit that we're ready to mail to you people. So
sure.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, there's still a couple spots available. If they don't get filled up, I'm just going to make them spin agains.
Gotcha.
We've got like 45, 46 people signed up. That's quite a few. My goal was 50. I would like to still hit it. So if you're listening and haven't signed up, go to Sportszilla and sign up now and get your name in there. That'd be awesome to get all 50. But yeah, other than that, man, next week's going to be fun. We'll find a way to pick those names, and Anything else that you want to add?
No, I think we're good here.
Yeah, let's go play some Borderlands.
All right, man.
Peace.
Stay connected with Brandon and Zach on Facebook and Instagram at the West Podcast. And tune in next week for a brand new episode. Thanks for listening.